Year 5 at St Anne's Catholic Primary in Huyton. Our school is close to 2 railway stations, Huyton and Roby.
And they've both been around forever, haven't they?
Well, it turns out they haven't. They arrived here in the 1830s, and we've been learning all about the changes that the railways brought to our area.
We've been up and down, forward and back. Full steam ahead, but right on track. And learnt more about our railways and how they changed our local area.
Is it Huyton Quarry?
And now we are going to share the story with you.
What happened here actually changed the world.
It's a story of competition, invention, money,
And catastrophe.
So welcome aboard and enjoy our look at how Huyton and Roby were part of the story that changed the world.
Our school is in Huyton and most of us live close by. It's an area within Knowsley and it's about 5 miles from Liverpool.
Traditionally, Huyton was a small village and Roby was nothing more than a few houses.
Before the railways opened in 1830, Huyton with Roby had been a mainly agricultural area, and the main crops that were grown were wheat, corn, root vegetables like carrots and potatoes, and they'd be taken to market to be sold. Unfortunately, the road system wasn't very good. Most of the tracks leading to the farms and the village, they'd be muddy, sloshy messes, and in the summer they'd be hard and rutted and very difficult to pass by.
We went off to the Knowsley archives at the Kirby Centre to find out what Huyton and Roby were like back then.
Jess, look at this.
This is the archives store. Now this is where we keep all of the old documents and photographs and maps. The oldest document we've got goes back to about the year 1300. So we've got things from right through the ages that tell us all about the history of Knowsley. This shows us what it was like in 1786, so way before the railways were built. So there's Roby and there's Huyton, and you can see they are houses or farms, but there's no railway.
If you turn back to 1820, for instance, the fastest transport you had in the northwest was a horse, maybe a stagecoach if it was people, or a horse and wagon if you're carrying goods. And it took people a long time to travel around. Now they had canals, they could also transport people and goods, but of course in winter time if it got cold they froze up, and so everything came to a standstill.
So something was needed to link the people, the places and the goods together faster.
Something like a railway. But at that time, there was nothing like that round here.
So, how did it all start?
Well, steam trains have been around since the early 1800s, mainly moving goods around and small numbers of passengers.
And so by the 1820s, the world's first railway was being built, linking 2 of Great Britain's most important cities, Liverpool and Manchester.
Manchester was a centre for manufacturing with the cotton industry, and Liverpool was the main port for export to the Americas and other parts of the world.
In 1829, a competition was held at Rainhill. This was to find a train to run along the new Liverpool and Manchester Railway.
This became known as the Rainhill Trials. 15,000 people came out to watch, and 5 trains began the test, but most had problems.
One was too slow. One was too heavy.
One had a horse brake kit.
One had an engine fail.
And so, the only one left was Rocket, and was declared the winner.
Designed by George and Robert Stevenson, Rocket really did change the world.
It was reliable, had an unbelievable top speed of 30 miles per hour, and became the template for steam engines for the next 150 years.
The winner of the Rainhill trials on the day, basically the only one that didn't break down. So this is a big tank engine, and basically the train behind me here, Pender, is another big tank engine. They all followed this design, and everyone changed it over the years, but this is the original tank engine.
However, Rocket wasn't without its disasters.
At the opening ceremony of Liverpool and Manchester Railway, William Huskisson, the Member of Parliament for Liverpool, was hit and killed by the rocket.
But Rocket carried on working, and new trains and railways followed.
But here in the 21st century, we used the line to travel up to Rainhill and met up with Barry and Chris, who told us more about the original trains and train line.
This is so fun!
This is the first proper train service in the whole of the country, right? And it happened 190 years ago. And just under that bridge, this first bridge, that's where the actual trials took place. Stephenson's rocket was coming up here, and the first marker post for the trials was just under that bridge.
What remains of the original site today?
The original site at Rainhill trials, where the rocket trials took place in 1829, is almost unaltered. The track still exists, the skew bridge across the railway still exists, the station has moved slightly, but again there's still a station exists. So you can stand on the station and look a mile and a half that way and about a quarter of a mile that way and think, yes, this is the actual site of the rocket trials.
Once the line was up and running, George and Robert Stevenson worked to make Rocket even better. The new model was named Planet. We saw a working model of Planet at the Manchester Science Museum.
Where we are today is the Museum of Science and Industry, but a long time ago we were a train station, so opened in 1830, and basically cotton would arrive in Liverpool, we brought it to Manchester, off to the mills of Manchester, where it's turned into fabric and thread, and then back on the train, back to Liverpool, back on the ships and off around the world.
As long as it was still running, they kept it running.
Set standard for all steam engines ever after.
Everywhere.
Huyton and Roby stations were both opened on the original line in 1830. And having a railway station meant that this area was growing fast.
So 1830, critical date for us because that's the year the railway opened. Now if we look at this map here, which is a bit later.
Look at Ruby now. Ruby.
You can see.
Huyton looks a bit small.
So what year is it? Can anyone tell me what year it is?
Huyton's 6. Ruby's pushing me.
Yeah, 1927.
1927, so nearly 100 years after the railways were built.
Huyton is in Quarry.
So
I found it.
It enabled people to travel all sorts of distances. The rich merchants of Liverpool could move out from the smoky city to live in the countryside and build their big houses, which you can still see today. And then they would travel into Liverpool by train and then come home at night and be picked up in their horse and cart and taken home.
But also it meant that industries could develop. So you saw a lot of new industries cropping up in the area. So the mining industry developed. St Bartholomew's Church was built to accommodate the extra people who'd moved into the area. Moving further up towards Huyton Quarry, you saw a lot of workers' houses built, terraced houses, which were a complete contrast to the luxurious villas. So you had people moving from all over the country, from Wales, from the Wigan area, from other parts of Lancashire, to work in the industries that were growing up around Huyton and Roby.
was an absolute revolution insofar as you could have hundreds of tons of goods transported to Manchester in less than a single day.
On the old Turnpike Road, it took 2 hours to get from Roby to Liverpool. Now with the railway, it only took 20 minutes.
So that was then, but what about now? We wanted to learn why people use this railway today.
So we got out our recorders and asked people a few questions.
What is the reason for your journey today?
I'm going to meet up with family to have lunch in town centre.
Where was the furthest place you've ever been and why were you going there?
I went all the way to Devon to see family down there.
I think it's very important because without it we couldn't commute, could we? So that's interesting, isn't it?
It was one of the first lines. I think it was first in the world, wasn't it? For steam locomotives.
Yeah, that's good. You've told me something now, haven't you? Very good.
What still exists from the rail network from that time?
Pretty much everything that existed on the day that the railway opened exists at this moment in time. Some of the stations might have closed down along the route, some of the lesser used ones, but the majority of the stations are still in use today.
It provides fast, reliable transport for everyone to travel anywhere at all in the country.
Could I add to that, safe as well?
Yeah.
Because you think of transport, that they're one of the safest forms of land transport that there is. And you think every day millions and millions of people worldwide are being safely carried at very, very high speeds.
Millions of people use railways all over the world every day. And 200 years after their arrival, they are still a big part of the way we get around.
They brought opportunity and development to areas, moved goods and people around faster, and shrunk the world by saving us all time. They really did change history.
We've seen that Huyton and Roby were part of that history. A new idea in the 1830s changed our local area and then the world forever.
It was all very unscientific and they had many, many accidents because they didn't have brakes on these things.
Can I film a little bit of you doing this? It looks good.